Hey guys, coming to you from making this intro video here from Orlando. We're down in Disney this week with the kids for our son's Make-A-Wish trip, so we're excited. Gonna have a great week here. But I just dawned on me, somebody commented on my timber retaining wall video this morning, and I uploaded that video like 3 years ago or something like that. It's had a lot of views, but I realized that I never uploaded the video for the steps that I made that went up the hill. So after I did that timber retaining wall, and after we did the screen and porch above it, I actually made some stairs that went up. They're 6x6 timber stairs that went all the way up the hill to the top, and I did another smaller retaining wall up at the top to level that area out and gravel that whole area. So I'm gonna go ahead and upload those that footage here, edit it a little bit, and upload that, and hopefully it's helpful to somebody. Again, that was a while back. I made that video in, or I did that timber retaining wall in November of 2020, and November and December of 2020 is how long it sort of took me to do that project. And we actually don't even own that house anymore. So that house in the video and from the screen and porch build, we sold that house in April of 2021. Some of you have seen obviously our new house and the new build, and I've got lots of project videos coming for the new house. I'm always doing projects. But I wanted to upload the video for the steps because I hope it'll help somebody out. I did sort of do some detailed walkthrough on how I did everything. So I hope you enjoy. Talk to you later. Bye. So we're digging a trench here for a small, really short retaining wall. Timber 6x6. It'll only be 3 timbers tall, so not that tall. And one of the timbers will be underground, so really only two and a little bit of the third above ground. Right here in the yard, we'll be backfilling this area here, and then graveling this whole area, making a little fire pit area over here. But I have to check grade, so what I've done is I'm shooting grade off of the pad from the stairs, and I need to determine a certain depth. So I know that 3 6x6s, they're 5.5 inches deep, is 16.5 inches deep, and then I need 4 inches of gravel in the bottom of the hole underneath them for drainage and to level it all out. So I need to dig the hole 20.5 inches tall. That laser projects 2 inches off the ground. So I made a mark on my stick here at 22.5 inches tall, right there. And I just checked my depth. And as you can see right there, you can kind of see the faint red line is right on the money. So this entire, I've already checked this whole area. I mean, if it's like a 1/4 inch off, it doesn't really matter here because I'm filling this all with gravel. What does matter is the levelness of my gravel once I fill the hole with gravel. But we'll do that here in a minute, and then Mason's gonna have to move out of the way here in a second because I got to dig further that way and level out that way. Over here, we're only gonna do 2 timbers deep here, so I basically need to dig it 11 plus 4, so I need to dig it 15 inches deep right there. So I'm going to dig that hole out 15 inches deep, and that way we know how much gravel to put in there, and then we'll fill all this area in with gravel. I will not do the gravel in that upper tier until I've put the gravel in here and set my bottom course in, and then I will dig that area out and do that piece, just so that, because you want it to kind of plane out. You want that other one to sort of overlap onto this one, and it takes a little bit of planning to do that. But this is our main run here, and then it's going to go back over there to the concrete and terminate at the concrete. So, and the concrete there, we'll also do 2 timbers deep till about right here-ish, and then we'll step down to 3 timbers deep. So this area, I don't need to excavate and dig out as much dirt. In this area, obviously 5.5 inches less of dirt in this area than I do there. So that's what we're going to do over here. Right, so the wall is built. Well, the timbers themselves are built. Yeah, buddy.
He fell in here. He fell in this hole. This dump truck fell in the hole last night.
Oh, I see.
He
Okay.
fell in this hole.
Uh-huh. So the wall is built. Basically we did 3 courses tall here. So you have 3 courses tall. And then that's 2 courses tall. I do have kind of the corner of my septic tank to contend with right here in this little spot. But basically it's real close there, but didn't damage it or hit it or anything like that, so we're in good shape. I put one little strong back here, tied it in with some rebar pins. It's basically bumping right up against the side of the septic tank there, just hitting the corner of it. But I just finished backfilling with gravel here. So, well, partially backfilling with gravel. I put in a drainage pipe, 4-inch corrugated perforated pipe with a sock on it, and put that down in the trench, put a little bit of pitch to it so it actually starts up there, kind of drops down a little bit. There's a little bit of pitch running through here and goes down there, and then there's about 4 inches of gravel, so any water that gets on here that would lift up will go up into this pipe, and any water coming down here will go into this pipe. And then I actually plan on putting a basin drain right about there, because my neighbor's downspout comes out. You can sort of see that white little pipe. Their water comes out, comes down, cascades down this hill, comes down through here, runs across right here, and then goes into just sort of creates a stream right here. As you can see how the grass is kind of laid down, it goes all the way down there. So I'm going to put a little basin drain right there to catch some of that and just tie it into this gutter downspout pipe right here. And then I'm actually going to tie this pipe into the gutter downspout pipe that actually runs underground right in this area right through here. I'm going to dig out and find it, and I've got a Y connector. I'll dig it up, connect it with a Y connector, and then this will just tie into that, and all that drainage will go down there all the way underneath the deck, and then it dumps out way down at the bottom of the hill down there. And then I got in some extra pipe to actually bury that downspout right there, put it underground so I don't have to keep moving it out of the way every time I mow the grass. So we'll bury that one down, and then probably just pipe it down into this little trench right here and just let it drain off that way. So again, 3 courses tall. First course was the hardest, obviously, getting it level, and then I notched, kind of pulled it back away at the end there to run that pipe out the side, and then overlapped it there. Yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, so just finished backfilling this little trench. So my other video, again, I've got this drainage pipe running here. It does a little 90 out the corner, and then I ran it through a solid pipe. Again, this drainage pipe through here in the bottom of the trench is a perforated pipe with a sock on it. And then we've got a 90 degree, and then it goes into a solid pipe. And then that line right there for that downspout kind of runs actually right through here. So I dug down a little bit and found it, and then wired into it and just dumped this drain into that one. It shouldn't be a ton of water coming through this, so it'll drain just right into that pipe. So I just put a Y into it, dumped it in there. It's basically like right there is where the Y is, and then just backfilled it all with dirt. Now I got to put some more pine straw on it because this is turning into a mud fest. If it's muddy, get yourself some Muck boots, Muck brand boots. Don't just buy cheap rubber boots, buy Muck brand boots. They're expensive, but they're worth every single penny. They're so comfortable. Could wear them all day long. They're waterproof. Highly recommend Muck brand boots. I don't know why it took me so long to buy a pair. I got these at Tractor Supply for like $85 last year, and love them. So anyways, so now working on just backfilling this front side, just taking some of this dirt and pushing it up against here. I am going to build some steps right here coming down. So we'll do some steps, and eventually I might get started on that now. I don't really know yet. Build some steps all the way down this hill and tie into right there to go in underneath the deck. So you have steps going up around there. So that's it. And then I also came in and I pinned this corner in here with a little piece of rebar. You can see kind of the remnants of the dust and whatnot. I basically just drilled into this concrete slab here that's on the bottom of the steps, holding the steps in place, and drilled in with the demo hammer there, and shot a piece of rebar, or pounded a piece of rebar in there, and just cut off the excess, and that's pinned this in nice and tight. I mean, this wall is solid now, it's not going anywhere. So that's it. How do you figure out steps? Well, you got to figure out what's level first. So we're starting here. I already just kind of mocked up this step here. You actually have to work from the bottom up, but I kind of mocked this up just to kind of get a starting point. So I got my laser line, that's the top here. And then I've got this line is perfectly level. And then I measured down from here to this point. And then I found a relatively level area here. And basically I've determined that my total rise is going to be 93.5 inches. So that's basically the top tread of my bottom step is going to be right level with the ground right here. And over here it's going to be a little bit above ground. Here I'm going to level this whole area out. So that's going to be my very bottom step. And 93.5 divided by 5.5, which each timber is 5.5 inches thick, is 17. It's like 16.99 or something, so we'll call it 17. So we have 17 treads in total to get all the way up to the top. So basically then I had to come along here and figure out a layout, and then this part of the yard from about right here to here is not as sloped as that part from there to there, and then that's pretty level up there. So these steps in this area, as you can see, they're a little bit further apart. So they're 24 inches, 24, 24, 24, 24, and then we get into shorter steps here. These treads will be, I think that's 17 inches here. So 17, 17, 17. And then I numbered my steps from 17 all the way to 1. We stopped this one at, this one's 3, so 5, 4, 3, and then this one's 2, and then 1. There's going to be some boards that go across the top of this one that sit on top of that, so you have basically 2 2x6s there. It steps down to this step. This is your tread here, and then you step down there, and then that one's your third step. So that's the nose of your third step. Got my helpers here, and that's how you do it. So we just got to do a little bit of math and also understand that I need 17 steps. So then I'm adjusting my run of my steps to sort of fit within that 17. So now I think I've got my layout figured out. Now I can start digging down here and work my way up to the top. Each step will set on top of the next step, and then we'll put gravel on the bottom of it for drainage. Landscape fabric, well, landscape, dig it out, landscape fabric, gravel, timber, so on and so forth, all the way up the hill. And then once we have all of the steps built, I'll basically build them kind of like I've built this one. As you can see here, I've got mitered the corners. I don't know if I'll keep doing the miters because it's kind of a pain in the butt, but timber locked them in together with timber lock screws. That's the expensive part of this project, is the hardware. And then we'll fill this area, each tread with gravel. So each one will have gravel in it all the way down. Then we'll work our way all the way down the hill until we get to here. And then I'll make this a little bit more level here, level this little wall out. And then you'll have gravel in this area. And then you've got kind of a level walking path. This one won't be perfectly level, but it'll be level enough where you won't really notice it, and then you come into this area and you can walk into the basement. So that's how I got it. But back out here working on this, I actually ended up having to go back and redo. I miscalculated quasi because when I measured all this, I actually had one too many steps. Originally I was going to put a step like right here, right in there. And what happened was I guess I measured from the top of the step instead of the bottom. And so all I did to fix that was basically make this bottom step longer than the originally anticipated. So now, because basically as I started stacking things up, I realized like, wait, I was going to be above the ground, which is not what I needed to stay in ground level. So I just made this bottom step longer. We're going to come in here and build a little wall right here, fill in this area, kind of level it out, get it relatively level. It's still going to be about 2 or 3 inches out of level, but that's okay. It's not that big of a deal, as long as it's pretty flat. And then this will be a landing here. I'm going to backfill all this with number 89 gravel, which is more like a finer, a pea gravel, but it's an angular gravel, which means it'll compact and hold tighter. It's basically like a larger 57 stone. So we're going to put 89 stone in here, 89 stone in there. I'll have to come in and dig some of these little steps out, but I'm kind of working my way up the hill. As you can see here, each time I'm kind of stair-stepping it up the hill, digging out, creating lots of dirt and dumping it up there for the backfill up there. We'll probably need a little bit more backfill right here, but I don't want to get that pile too high where it falls over. And then as I dig out, I'm kind of leaving myself about, I don't know, 3 inches or so to fill in the bottom of the hole with gravel. I put the gravel in there for drainage. I'll come back in here with the 89 stone and actually backfill more of this and then we will wrap the fabric over the side of it, and then I will backfill against the side of it with just dirt. You want to put this filter fabric here so that the soil doesn't work down into the gravel. So the gravel's there for drainage. This will extend the life of these timbers out, so they're basically not constantly soaking wet all the time. They have time to actually dry out. And then all the rain that comes down this hill will have somewhere to go, run through here. We'll put a sock pipe at the bottom of this hill down here and kind of stick it out the end, and it'll go drain down into that ditch. So that's kind of what I'm doing, just stair-stepping it as I go. You can see here I've got my steps lined out, and I kind of go past the step I dig my hole about, I don't know, 4 inches past the step. That way I've got some overlap. I've got somewhere to lap these onto, and then each step I've got a drill a 5/8 inch hole into the block, and then run a piece of rebar, a 1/2 inch rebar down into that. So this is 1/2 inch rebar, and these are 2-foot sticks of 1/2 inch rebar. Drive those into the ground. This pins it into the ground, and then each one gets timber locked into the next one with some Fasten Master timber lock anchors. So I've got some 6-inch ones so the face board right there is a 4x6, and then these side boards are a 6x6. I suppose I could have done a 4x6 for the side ones too, but I figured a 6x6 is a little bit meatier, a little bit bigger surface area to carry more weight, just beefier in general. So we've got a 4x6 on your tread on the front, and then I use a 6-inch timber lock with 2 on each one to screw it into the 6x6, and then we use 1 timber lock on each one as we step up with a rebar peg in the back, and we'll just keep working our way up the hill. I'm not really in any huge rush to finish this project anytime soon. I waited till now to do the project because it's cooler, and I'm not sweating my tail end off out here working. So work our way up here, and when we get to the top, this was just a mock-up. This is not even secured in, so we'll actually take this out and then set the next one, and they build on top of one another. And then the final step, these 4x6s are just temporary, but there'll be 6x6s sitting on top of these for the final step, so you have a step. And then the gravel is going to be brought level with this area up to grade. So gravel will be brought up to here, and it will all be level, so you have a nice even step. And then I'm going to go get a pallet of flagstones and actually kind of make a little flagstone walk here and sort of integrate it over into here. And then we'll bring some flagstones as stepping stones in here that'll be kind of set in the gravel. This entire area is going to be gravel here, so gravel around to here, fire pit right in here. I do need to trim my septic tank risers about, I don't know, a couple inches off of them and sink them down a little bit further towards the tank. Those were just how the guys put them because I didn't really know what the final grade would be. I knew it would be somewhere in that area, but they are going to be sticking up a little high, so you can actually pull them off and cut the bottom, set them back down into place. So we'll trim those septic tank risers down because I had those installed recently. We had our septic tank pumped in September, and I had them install these riser caps just because I knew I would be gravel in this area. So, you know, whoever has this pumped in the future, we won't be in this house. We're selling this house in the spring. We're actually building a custom home. So we'll be moving out of this house, but that's what we're doing here. So it's coming along step by step. All right, so just wrapping up here. It has been rain. It just started raining. Just finishing up just in time for the rain. And it's about to start pouring here pretty soon. We're all done. I got to the top and kind of noticed I'm actually going to redo this piece here, this top step, because this top step is actually technically the second step, and then we'll have 6x6s across the bottom. And I just doing the math, and because this is like gets wider, and then so it's like narrow at like 11, and then it's like 16, and then it's wider, and then it goes back to 16. What I'm actually going to do is rebuild this. I have one more 6x6 left, so I'll kind of throw this out, and I will build a new one that basically comes 16 inches back from here. And if I do that, it brings it out to about here. And that would give me 16 for that step. And then this step would be 16. And then this one on the top with 3 6x6s would be 16 and a half. So that gives me that gradual slope to figure out. So I'm happy with that. We're all done. The height kind of all worked out pretty well. Got a little bit of a 1/2 inch gap there, but I think when I redo this one, I'll kind of fix that. Maybe put a little bit more gravel under this one just to lift it up a little bit. And then we got to come back in and backfill all the edges with gravel, and then I got to put some fabric down on each of these little steps, and then we'll actually put some I'm going to order some bulk number 89 stone, number 89 gravel. We'll backfill all of this with number 89 gravel, and then we'll kind of wrap the fabric up over the side, and then sort of backfill along the edge with just a little bit of dirt. And then I'm going to run basically a pine straw bed right here. I'll kind of serpentine it around so that when I'm mowing the grass, pro tip from a guy who I used to own a landscape business, use your lawnmower to figure out how you should serpentine your landscape beds. Just mow and figure out what your turning radius is. And obviously you don't want to be tighter turning radius than what your mower can do. So I'll run it along here and figure out what my turning rate. I mean, I have basically a quasi zero turn, like a commercial walk behind mower that I mow this backyard with, but we'll cut it around here. So I'll just make all this pine straw. We'll probably put another hydrangea like right here, and then we'll curve it around, just run pine straw right along the edge of this. And then, we have the pine straw here. I think it'll all look nice. Maybe I'll just plant some plants all along the edge of this. That might actually look nice. So that's the plan there. And all these worked out nice. So as you can see, I kind of gradually start expanding the steps out this way so that you don't trip and fall. And then we'll come along, I guess next weekend, or maybe sometime this week if I find some time during the week. It's kind of a busy week for me with the business. So I've got a new employee I've been training. So a new personal assistant. For those of you who maybe own your own businesses, if you haven't hired a personal assistant, quit messing around. Hire a personal assistant. I've gotten more done in the last 2.5 weeks with this new personal assistant than I've ever done, ever. If you're like a visionary like me and not like a task-oriented person, like it's crazy. So hire a personal assistant. But anyways, we're going to build a wall here. So there'll be a wall that comes up to here to sort of level this out, relatively level. It'll still be out of level, just maybe a couple inches from side to side, but not a huge deal. Level enough. And we'll backfill this with gravel, and then I'll put a drain sock in here so all the water that kind of cascades through this gravel down the hill will drain out into this area, go into the pipe, run out down there. You always want to run adequate drainage. But yeah, there she is. So I think it turned out nice. Follow up on the steps. Haven't made any progress over the last week. Been busy with running the business, but it's been raining here for a few hours. Figured I'd come outside and look at how the drainage is going. So we've got quite the stream running in here. It's flowing through the gravel just as I suspected. And basically what's happening is it's running down through here, which I'm actually going to put a drain with like a grate right over in here somewhere, and run that and tie that into the gutter downspout piping. But it's basically running down through here, trickling through the gravel. Some of it is going in the sock pipe and going over there, and the rest of it is actually flowing out
on the bottom side underneath through the gravel, because that is filled up, and then it's running like a stream all the way down here, down through the steps, and then coming out the bottom, which is why I need to make sure that when I do finish the rest of this off, I put a sock pipe in this hole here so that that water fills into that and then drains out the other side. So interesting observation, but it's kind of doing what I suspected that it would do. So all right, kiddos, so all the timbers are done. I just worked on this today. Got the little short wall here done for the landing at the very bottom, so that is done. To make the grade work out, I kind of stepped it up a little bit, so this will be the last step, and then the gravel will be kind of level with the top of these timbers right here, and then it'll actually go uphill just a little bit, about a timber and a half. So across this span it'll rise about 6 inches or so. So did that, tied it all in there, and I ended up somehow getting off with my measurements. I measured it all out. Whatever happened, I don't know. I had to sort of rip that last little piece down a little bit to make it all plane out on the top. So no big deal, but basically what we did here is dug out a trench as always, lined the bottom with, lined it with fabric, put gravel in the bottom, set my first piece here, and then put a sock pipe. I've got a sock pipe running out to about, I guess it runs about right here or so. So it kind of fills up this little section right here. So it's a perforated pipe. That's just a little scrap piece. Perforated pipe in here with a sock around it. And then what was interesting is, as I was digging out this trench right here, I released a cofferdam of sorts. If you know what a cofferdam is, it's just like a little mud dam basically. And when I dug out right here in this corner to dig this out, all of a sudden like water just started flowing into this hole, and it was just water that was trapped down in the bottom of this trench right here. So I made sure that when I dug this particular hole right here at the end, I actually sloped the clay at the bottom and then leveled it with the gravel, so that any water, because basically what happened when it rained was water kind of just flowed down these little steps one by one, like a little river underneath through the gravel. And then it flowed down into here. So now basically it flows down into here and it goes into the bottom of this with gravity, and then it'll go into the sock pipe, and then I buried the sock pipe down and it just dumps out down there. So hopefully that works out as planned. We shall see. And then now I just have to order a bunch of bulk gravel. I'm done with all the timber work. Order a bunch of bulk gravel. I'll dig some of this dirt out a little bit. We'll get that bulk gravel. We'll start backfilling all of this stuff. The reason I'm bulk backfilling with gravel is honestly, it's really not that expensive. A ton of gravel is like $30. A ton of 57 stone is like $30. So it's really not that much money. And then it provides good drainage. Obviously you got to shovel it and whatnot. And I wish I had could get a machine back here. I guess I could get a skid steer, but honestly this slope would just tear it all up like I did last year. So I'm not going to do that. We'll just hand fill it all. We'll do a little bits at a time. So we'll be back filling all these steps. I've got one last little bit to do. I have to cut a piece to go right here, another 6x6. I've got that one right over there. I just have to cut it. But so I guess I lied when I said the timbers are done. I got one more little cut to do, but I'll do that later. No big deal. Don't need to do it right now. And we'll cut it right there for this last little step. I'm leaving it out on purpose because I want to get some gravel up under there and then fill this, and then I'll put that piece on. So here we are, and we'll come in and move all this dirt around and scrape and level this entire area out. Gravel this entire area here. Obviously clean up all the trash and the kids' toys in the meantime. I'm a messy worker. I got water bottles everywhere and whatnot, but there she is. So I'm happy. It's a nice little transition to go down the steps here, and then it'll drop down onto here, and then boom, underneath the deck. There we go. All right, almost done. Just decided I have a lot of number 89 stone left over, so just kind of backfill the edges with 89. This will all get pine straw right in here. The other parts are done. Looks great. Nice and clean. I need to throw that stuff away, but I can't bring myself to toss it. Underneath the deck.